Hey, this is Andrew from Knapsack, and I'm excited to walk you through an overview of our brand new advanced Figma integration. Here I am on a Knapsack workspace, and I've opened up a branch so that I can get into the edit mode. I'm going to go to settings, and you'll notice now in settings that we have a new area for integrations and design sources. And so this is where I can connect my design source files. We can connect multiple files here. In this case, we already have a couple, and you'll see that we've pulled out some components, some frames. I don't have any instances in these specific files, but any of those elements that exist within Figma, based on how those are defined in Figma, we'll be able to identify them and pull them into Knapsack. And so I'm going to go through the process of connecting a new design source and showing you what I can do in documentation. So first thing I'm going to do is find my source asset. In this case, I'm going to use Toby. This is our design system for Knapsack. And I'm going through and I'm grabbing the menu component. You'll see we actually have multiple components in here with all this, the component icon in Figma. We also have some frames where we've used those things. And so we don't have to do anything special in terms of file setup, really just use the features of Figma as they're intended. And then what we'll be able to do is grab that link, drop it in here. This does require me to have an authenticated session with Figma. You see it took just a moment to validate, and now I can go ahead and click the add button, and we will get this added into our workspace. So we have a lot of components in here. There are 381 components, no judging. And there we go. I've got this connected. Worth noting, this is also where I'd return to update. So I'll show you how we work these assets all into our workspace. But then updating them once you've made changes to Figma is super easy. Just come in here, click the update, and it'll sync the changes all throughout. Let's return to docs. I'm going to go over to our components. And I'm going to start with showing you a new component. So you already have a lot in here, but let's go and add a new one since I don't have a menu. We're going to add a new pattern. We'll call this a menu. I can organize it. Maybe I want to put this into complex patterns. There we go. So I'm on the menu, and this is where I can access all of my content blocks. You'll see we have a lot for documentation, everything that you can really think of here, using from third-party embeds to using components that are connected with code so we can sort of render dynamic examples, Figma assets and design tokens and do's and don'ts guidelines, third-party assets, and then just static content, tables, callouts, of course, rich text. So let's go through here first and add the Figma component. So you'll see this adds the ability to go browse my assets. Here's the file I just connected with Toby. This is, I'm going to add one of these at a time. Well, I passed it. No, I didn't down here. So let's get ahead. You know what? We got a large file. Why don't we use the features that exist? Why don't we search for menu? There we go. And menu, I'll just take the core one for now. I can actually click a little, there we go, get the preview of it. And there we go. So this is going to give me the variants. I have all kinds of options. Maybe I want to include the spec as well. Super powerful for your engineers to see how you actually defined the properties of this component. We have, if there's examples where we've used them, that would show up as well. I don't have those in this particular file. And then, of course, layout examples. Do I want to do this in a list? Do I want to do it in a grid? Do I want to do it in 4 columns, 3 columns? You have all these full width. So lots of different options for presentation. Can make these things seamless as well if you'd like. So tons of options in terms of how you set this up. You can also go ahead and add this as just if you want the kind of full spec on one tab. You'll see you can just go ahead and add this, and it will kind of do all the work for you. We'll show an example of this used in a little bit. I also have the ability, let's delete this, to add things more granularly. So the other Figma content block we had is the Figma tiles. And so I've come in here. Similarly, you see I have a bit of a more granular view now where I can go and look at, again, individual assets. Maybe I want to show, maybe I want to show more, many of these. So I also had the menu indicator that had these. So I can choose a bunch. I can get more granular and choose just individuals. So this is kind of a haphazard selection, but you see I've now, again, created this list here. And so many more configuration options. I could make these all seamlessly embedded. For different presentation options, I can certainly make them, super large, all alignment, grid. You name it, what you want to do here. We can make a really big long page if we want. And of course, all of these things combine with, the other tools we have for sizing in here. So maybe I want to make these smaller, so that next to them, when I put a text block, I can go through and do things like narrow menu item. You get the point, right? So I can now start to document, annotate all of my design really, really easily pulling it in from Figma. This is also how, if I wanted to just, let's adjust my selection here, or let's start over, let's make a new block to make it easy. If I wanted to just embed, not necessarily components, but just assets from Figma, this is also a great way to do it now. So let's go and just grab an example of a frame. We have here, this was an example of another component where we showed these message variants. And so if you're familiar with Knapsack in the past, you may have used something like the embed blocks that we have, which are powerful, but also real-time, and sometimes can create some challenges in workflow if you don't want people to see real-time updates. This is now a super improved way to embed individual assets, artboards, you name it, right? So tons of flexibility in what we have. Just to show you some other examples of how we have this set up, here's an example of a message component that came in. This is very common, what an engineer might see on a Jira ticket. Right, added the spec tab, added some do's and don'ts. You'll see where we've got examples like the card, where we're pulling in simple examples, or my personal favorite is what we've done with the button here, where we have this is showing what we can do with code as well. We have all these options to loop over coded components and show the different variants. Now I can not only connect these variants in code, but I can actually start to build some things like comparison tools. This is showing side by side, and let's go into preview mode. This is what it would look like to our users to show, hey, today here's how this looks in React, and this is how this looks in Figma. Clearly they're not aligned perfectly. I should add a new header here. But this gives me the ability to identify where things are out of sync and create a lot of clarity with my teams. Lots more to come here. We're super excited about getting this out in the hands of all of our customers. Please use it. Give us feedback. Looking forward to hearing from you. Thanks so much.